Arrogant, throwing fits, ripping shit, tearing it, imperative. Then I'm killing this mic no matter where I live. These derelict rappers acting the fool, this embarrassing is flagrant. That's the nature of this entertainment, and we can't even change it. Guilty before arraignment, now the system tainted. But when we speak, they all laugh at us. And y'all wonder why I'm lacking trust. Try to fight a giant with attorneys that can back them up. That's church versus science, both sides start acting up. I'm late on my assignment, hopping up a mile high, climbing, obviously never silent. New alignment, I'm defiant, cannot describe it. Used to describe it as a young graffiti artist. Before the beard, I always got carded. At every bar, even though my bar's been the hardest. The scars on my face, and I ain't always been the smartest. But I'll show you where my heart is. I said I'll show you where my heart is. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeves. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my...
The type of guy that would ride with the breeze. I'm higher than most people. I'm cold and icicle freeze. I'm like him to Mike Tyson. I'm a bison, a beast. I'm hot like Jamaica, like right by the beach. My pops is from a spot where they're fighting for peace. 8 years old, out there watching people fight in the streets. All these sirens only make the violence increase. Yeah, we're still not loving police. It's that bright young American, nice, dumb, arrogant. Tight on a mic, but he might need a therapist. Heart full of kerosene, head full of fairy tales. Said that you're my homie, you don't know me, but I know you very well. Roll back on some West Coast shit. This whole track is wetter than your dress code kiss. About to hit the track, running on some retro fit. I guess I'll lit, I guess I'll bitch, now let's go.
Show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeves. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Tuesday, little sports nonsense and whiskey edition. Hang with the boys. Robert is on his way. Had some stuff he had to go take care of for the fam. He'll be joining us as quickly as he possibly can. So the boys are back tonight. Pinky, my guy, how you doing?
Good, my friend. Good. This is the glass I got from the game last week. So
nice. Very good. Very good. The game was good. You guys saw a W?
Saw a W. We saw Wemby do Wemby alien things. Almost hit the quad double. I swear, if Pop doesn't take him out with like 6.5 minutes left, and then put him back in at 3, I think if he'd have played the whole time, I think he'd have gotten that. I think he would have got the quad double.
I thought that Durant was probably the only one in the league that had that ability to go out and get a quad double right now. Chet Holmgren came along. He could get a low end one, possibly a 10-10-10-10 kind of run. But Wemby, look, I said I wasn't convinced that he was going to be a generational talent. I'll be honest, I'm still not 100% convinced he's going to be a generational talent. I think there is a lot to be said for the fact that he is the only dude on that team, and he's literally doing everything to the point where he's 7'5", running down the middle of the lane wide open, and his teammates don't pass him the ball. Like, the Spurs are just a giant mess, so he has to do everything to get all of these things. I think he's really, 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 really good, and he keeps going like this, and they put some talent around him, and he keeps doing it. I will eat as much crow as I need to because he's special.
Hey, I've got a surprise for you.
Oh.
We disagree again.
No.
I do think he's got that talent.
We've talked about this, though. You said he's generational. You would have taken
I'm on the win. I've seen it with my eyes twice.
Look.
And
I watched a lot of his games.
Point. When you are the only thing on the team, are you going to pad some stats? Sure. We've seen it before. Russell Westbrook was triple-double king because there's nothing in Oklahoma City when he was just getting triple-double after triple-double because there was nobody else there to do anything. So I agree with that point. But like what I've seen, that guy God, he can just do it all. And so when they get those pieces around him,
like again, he's going to be really, 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 really good. Generational talent, though, you're talking about your Stephs, your LeBrons, your Jordans, your Birds, your Magics. Like you're talking about top 10, at least for me, when I hear generational talent, that's what I think of. I think of your top 10. He's in that atmosphere. I know a lot of people don't agree with.
He's going to get MVP, and they're going to win another title. They're going to win at least one while he is there.
Okay. I mean, that would put like there's your generational talents, and then there's that next tier where you look at guys like maybe a Barkley, a Malone, a Melo, guys who were really good but couldn't quite win it all with their team for one reason or another. A Patrick Ewing, those names that people like for some reason forget how good they really were because they don't have rings or because they played against Jordan and people want to knock how good that era was, or you want to talk about LeBron and who he went against in the East for 9 straight years and this, that, and the other, fine. Wemby's, again, I've got him up there, and I said before the draft I think he's going to be really good. I thought Scoot Henderson was going to be a generational talent. I thought he was going to be an insane point guard who just took the league by storm his rookie year. I was wrong, very wrong. He's shown some flashes where he could still be really good, but I mean, at this point, if I say I would take him over Wemby still, I would just be,
foolish.
It would be stupid. So I'm not going to do that. So it's fun watching Wemby play. I don't think he's as good as a shooter as advertised. So I think he's got some work to do in the offseason on his shot if he truly wants to step back out and be able to stretch the floor on a consistent basis. I think he's shooting like 34%, 35% from three.
So here's my take. And I know, as you would say, I'm still growing in my basketball knowledge.
You've come a long way.
But when I saw him in December to what I saw last week, he has grown a lot. And look, with backups, and in fact, some of the backups that were playing, I think were better than the starters that got hurt. They played as a team. They had the nugget. Like, if Wemby doesn't go out at the 6.5 minute mark, I think the Spurs win that game.
And that's why I'm bringing this up now, because I feel like I was wrong, and he's probably going to end up being a generational talent. I'm just trying to kind of, without going crazy like a lot of people did, I guess I'm kind of tempering my expectations of him a little bit. Is he that next tier down from the generational talents, or is he in that upper echelon of NBA royalty, if you will? I don't see that quite yet, but that doesn't mean he can't grow. I mean, there's definitely the potential. I see it, but it's a big step to take that next step and be a generational talent. I don't think people give LeBron enough credit for hitting the ground running as the next Michael Jordan, heir to the throne, and not only living up to set expectations, but in my mind, surpassing them to the point where you've got, with a lot of basketball people, you're talking about a 50-50 split, it seems like, between Jordan or LeBron for the greatest player ever. And that, to me, far exceeds any expectations you could have set on him coming out of college. So it's not to say that people can't do that. It's not to say that they won't live up to set expectations that people place on them. I just think immediately saying, for example, people were talking about Luka as he was going to have trouble playing in the league. And now they're talking about him as the next Bird. So you can come out and say Wemby's going to be, the next thing, and he could just never quite get above the plateau. There could be that peak behind the plateau that he could go up, and he might just get to the plateau, which isn't bad. Again, you're talking with him in your top 20 of all time. That's an insanely good career, and that probably lives up to, in a lot of minds, people's expectations. But for me, when you start talking about generational talent, that's why I didn't quite have him in that category yet.
Well, I think he gets there as long as he doesn't get hurt.
And cheers, Pinky. You're probably right.
That'd be the only thing I could see happening to derail that. I do trust the Spurs. I don't know if I trust Pop anymore. I think we've agreed that Pop, the game has maybe, he's the game has evolved enough, and he hasn't evolved with it, right?
So I don't think that's unlike some of the guys I've talked about in the NFL. I don't think that's the problem for Pop. What I do think is the problem for Pop is, and I think he can relate, I think he has garnered so much respect in basketball circles that people will listen to him no matter what, even the young guys on his team. I don't think they're truly hearing the message, though, a lot of the times. And that's not Pop's fault. That's because he doesn't have that veteran leader on the team or 2 or 3 guys that can be the voice in the locker room. And when you don't have that and it's only the coach's voice as the senior authority, and he's the only one holding people accountable, and you don't have peers doing it as well, it's a recipe for disaster. And I don't see how they change that in the next year or two, because there's not going to be a ton of upper echelon veterans coming on the market that would want to sign with the Spurs in free agency. Now, Wemby might change that a little bit, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to put the right pieces around him, because it feels like they're going to have to do it through the draft now. And I don't know if that's a recipe that's going to work unless you have the amount of draft picks like OKC does, where you might, you got 7 first rounders, you hit on 3 out of the 7, you're golden. If you only have 1 or 2, you miss on both, or they're just average players, that's not going to put you up over that hill. So they're in a tough spot. Yeah, they got Wemby, and that's a hell of a building piece to have in your cornerstone. But it'll be interesting to see how they move forward. I mean, and again, how many years does Pop have left? Like, he can keep saying things, but at some point they need to know so that they can finally have a path forward on what that future is going to look like.
I think he's got maybe 2 or 3, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, so a lot of questions down there, but Wemby is not a question. The only question now is he truly generational? You're talking about him as an all-time great, or is he that next level above that's still really damn good? It's just not a guy you're going to talk about in that GOAT conversation kind of thing. You know what I mean? Right. So that's where I see his career trajectory at this point. And that's about where I had it at the draft. I saw some really special flashes from Scoot Henderson, and you can get a point guard with that kind of athleticism. It gives me shades of Derrick Rose, and I will take that every day over a big man. But Scoot's got a long way to go to get to that level now, compared to where Wemby is. And then you got Chet Holmgren sitting in OKC, just putting in his work every night, doing exactly what the team needs him to do. Nothing flashy, doing the dirty stuff. And OKC is looking really, really good. I think they're a year or 2 away from being truly competitive for a championship still, just because of the experience and the way they match up with some of the teams in the West still is going to hold them back a little bit.
They're going to need Denver. I mean, I feel like you got Denver. It's going to be on their run for just a couple years, and then I still think OKC has room to grow, and the Timberwolves have some room to grow, and then the Spurs will be kind of coming up behind them. So they still have a couple years before we're kind of worrying about them as a contender.
Well, that's the kicker, though, is at this rate, they've got some talent that's starting to pop off. They're not going to be able to keep all of that talent that they drafted because of the new NBA salary cap, and the way that's going to start going with the luxury tax and the different levels, and you're going to get priced out of being able to sign more than 2 max stars probably. So that's where Denver is just set up for insane success, because their core is in the beginning of their prime. They're not at the end of their prime winning titles. They're at the beginning of their prime winning titles. And if Denver's that good already, and they've got their core locked up for the next 3 years, which they do, that puts a lot of pressure on everybody else in the West and how they're going to be able to keep up with that train. So OKC's got the talent, and another year or 2, they will definitely be competing, no doubt. Minnesota's got some really good talent, but they're going to have some issues keeping everybody signed as well. So that's what's going to be interesting to watch. And that's where the Spurs might be able to take advantage of some things. If some of these teams, especially in the West, that have a lot of talent that aren't able to keep all these guys when that luxury tax comes into play, have to start letting some of them go. Maybe you can lure one of them down there to play with Wemby and then start filling in some of those pieces with the draft and, some mid-level type veterans. And that would be, you could do that in a year like that and be, competing for the top 6 in the West. Easy if you do it right. So, Buford and Pop know what they're doing down there. Don't get me wrong. They put together a dynasty with the Spurs that lasted for, 15 plus years.
It helps when you have one of the other generational talents in Tim Duncan.
And even before that, you could argue that David Robinson is a generational talent that goes very underrated in the all-time great conversation. Man threw up, 71 points, something like that as a center. So David Robinson has one of the quadruple doubles in NBA history, if I remember correctly.
He has the last one in 94.
Yeah. So David Robinson is a beast. And the fact that his name doesn't get brought up more as an all-time great center is kind of mind-boggling to me, to be honest with you, because he was really good. And if he didn't have to serve his Navy term, he'd have even more years in the league and you'd see even bigger stats. So, the Spurs have gotten really good luck with big men playing for them.
So
you can go back to the Iceman George Gervin back in the day. The Spurs have had big dudes.
Let's come back for just a moment and bring Robert into the conversation.
Welcome, good sir.
I apologize, gentlemen.
Nah, nothing to apologize for. All good.
All good, my friend.
How do we end every show, right? So don't worry about it.
Right.
Take care of family. So, but this was Robert's first NBA game. And what would you tell us about that experience for you, Robert, being a guy who's never seen an NBA game?
Being a guy who's never been to an NBA game and now getting into it really, I don't want to say late in life because, I'm only 27, but later in life, in my life, I really enjoyed it, actually. It definitely is a different experience than putting it on the TV. I definitely felt like I could just see a few different angles a bit more that you don't really get to see. So seeing Wemby go up against Jokic, dude's just a beast in all just arms. It's insane. It was awesome to see. And just Jokic being a baller that game. 3 dunks in the first quarter right out of the gate, which again, not being a huge basketball person, that was a very rare sight. So that was very cool. Getting to see him do that, and actually now looking at all the highlights and things like that after going to the game, I'm like, damn, he really does not dunk at all. So that was pretty cool. And honestly, it was just an awesome experience. I kind of knew growing up that the Spurs were a pretty dominant team and they fell out recently, but getting to see them play with a lot of their talent that they're starting to build up was super cool. It was just an awesome experience.
We had a Spurs fan right behind us, big guy, had brought his daughter with him. His daughter was legit like, oh, he sucks, I hate him, miss it. Like, she was commenting the whole game, and I loved every minute of it.
How old would you put her at?
Oh, she was like between 6 and 8, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
She was real young, and like Dad was real respectful. He wasn't really like saying a whole lot. She was just chirping, and every once in a while she'd say something. Like she was like, I hate Joker. And I was like, Pinky, she's 8. Let it go. Let it go.
Should have said something back. You should have talked some nice smack. Get her used to what's coming if she wants to continue that.
Pinky has trouble like spitting out the right words at the right time occasionally. Yeah. And sometimes they're better left in my mouth.
That's true. Yeah.
But yeah, we had a great time. Junior is allowed back. Fourth
finally
quarter.
Got a W.
Yes.
Yeah, finally got a W with Junior in the house. So I said, okay. I was like, it was touch and go there for a moment. You may not have been invited back. So
that's tough, man. That's tough.
So it was good to see you win. And then I ran into my buddy Ron Moon as well. He ended up getting ticket to the game like that day. Somebody invited him up, so I got to see him and talk to him for a little bit. And I just me and him may not always agree on sports takes, but I appreciate that he has them. So, and he's a good dude with a good family, and I love that guy. So, to Moon, good seeing you, buddy. And well, now we jumped in. We talked some NBA. I believe the play-in starts next Tuesday, right? Is that the date? Is it next Tuesday that the play-in starts?
That sounds right. Let me double check, but that sounds right.
I also have some good sports news to share about some soccer. We're gonna have to work this in because Caleb, I need to share some things with you, sir.
I'm all ears.
Let's Caleb check that real quick. I'm gonna give a shout out. I just picked up this 12-pack of the Truly seltzers, and these are this is a new one I haven't tried before. They are delicious. Desert orange, mountain pear. There's a tropical one, and there's another one in the 12-pack. They are delicious. So good on you, Truly. Thanks for helping a brother out. I find that seltzers just sit better in my stomach than beer does. So
yeah.
I feel like it's nothing wrong with the beer. I think it just might be something wrong with you.
It could be the old age, Robert. I
wasn't gonna go there. You brought it up, but
could be the old age. I actually had a coworker today tell me that she's always surprised by how young I talk and how young I act.
Was it Karen?
Then she remembers how old I am.
Was it Karen?
No, it was Sandra.
Oh.
Tuesday. They start Tuesday.
Yep. Perfect timing. Then we'll talk.
The 16th, and then the 20th are the playoffs.
So the play-in starts Tuesday. We will talk about the play-in on Tuesday then, and we'll leave that for next week. Unless there's anything else in NBA you want to bring up while we're on the topic.
No, we can save. We've talked enough NBA over the last couple of weeks. I think we kind of know where things are set. Maybe we should talk just a minute, because while the upper echelons are set, and we've said, out in the West, we're looking at the Nuggets, OKC, and Minnesota fighting for the 1 through 3 seeds. They're basically all tied. Denver needs to win tomorrow night to get the tiebreaker against Timberwolves. They've already lost tiebreaker to OKC, but they're up a half game. So Nuggets are looking like they've got a window here. They need to win out. That's what it comes down to. But where I'm going with this is not so much the upper echelon of the seeds, but the play-in seeds are getting super interesting. And to me, I think we can spend just a moment here, Pinky, if you'll allow me.
I will indulge you.
All right,
I will indulge you, my friend.
I don't know what's going on, so yeah.
The reason this is so interesting is a couple different things. I'll start out in the East. With Joel Embiid coming back, the Sixers have looked pretty dang good. Now, the kicker is he's on a minutes restriction. Do they hold to that in the playoffs? Does he go all out? What does that look like? Is he going to be able to even get enough conditioning to go all out come playoff time? But they're sitting in the 7th seed right now out East. Miami is the 8th seed. Miami has Philly's number the last couple of years, okay? And they've got Jimmy Butler, who basically doesn't give a shit about the regular season and will show up here and there, say he's hurt or not hurt, I don't know. But come playoff time, the dude shows up. And Miami always has this extra gear out of nowhere. Philly, Miami in that first round 7-8 matchup, winner is automatically into the playoffs, right? They get the 7th seed, they're in. The 8th seed then has to face the winner of the 9-10 matchup. They got to play another game. That's not a great matchup that Philly wants to see. Now, Philly is only a game back of Indy right now for the 6th seed, which I think is something they're really actually trying to grab right now because it's going to give them a couple extra days rest when the season ends and keep them out of having to play those extra couple games, which would be huge for Embiid. So that's something to keep an eye on. Chicago, Atlanta are locked into the 9-10. Both have some talent. Both are not a true threat to, whoever might get that 8 seed. If they were to, say, beat Philadelphia, if it goes that way, and let's say Philly and Miami play. Miami wins, then one of those two teams has to play Philly. I don't see them beating Philly. So I think Philly gets into the playoffs one way or the other. And I think Miami, if they lost to Philly, would be either one of those teams as well. Now, Miami's got to get healthy. They got to have everybody come playoff time. And if they do, we'll see.
I don't know if Miami's got the same. We'll see. I don't know if they've got the same feeling like they did last year. I think last year in the playoffs, they got a lot of help from Strus and Caleb Martin, and both of those guys are gone.
Right.
They got some timely 3-point shots from those guys.
What seed were they last year, Pinky?
Huh?
What seed were they last year in the East?
They were the 8th.
Yeah. And people weren't even sure if they were even going to get into the playoffs. They had to win the play-in games to get into the playoffs.
They lost the first play-in game. They had to win the second one just to get in.
So you can say they don't really have that same feel as they did last year. Well, yeah, last year they didn't really have that same feel either. Until all of a sudden they went on a run and nobody could stop them. So Miami is still dangerous. Atlanta is kind of sneaky. Trae Young has proven from a game-to-game scenario he could go crazy hot and carry his team to a victory. Well, that's the thing. Are they going to be healthy? Are they going to have their full squad to run?
He's not back yet, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if he's going to be back. But if he is, there's something to think about. But I would say Philly, Miami right now would come out. Chicago, Atlanta are going home, and that's what you're looking at. But the Philly thing is interesting. Again, only a game back of Indy, but they're in the 7th seed. They would have to play Miami right now if things ended. That would be an interesting matchup. I find it very interesting. Now out west, things are really interesting to me.
Ooh.
Because you've got Phoenix sitting in the 6th seed.
Hold on. 1 sec. I feel like we've got to at least mention how bad the Bucks are. Just for Clayton. Clayton. I don't know. The Bucks should be so much better than they are, and they're just not.
They messed with. I told you that Dame Lillard trade was not the smartest trade they could have made.
And firing that coach,
Doc Rivers, is not a good coach. Well, he's a good coach. He's not a great coach. And bringing him in halfway through the season when you have locker room issues. And Doc Rivers has yet to be on a team where he coaches that doesn't have locker room issues. I don't think that's the guy I would have brought in to smooth over the situation. So the Bucks have some talent, but I can't see them beating Boston this year.
The Bucks can beat anybody on a given night. I mean, they beat Boston tonight. So but yeah. Sorry, Clayton. I mean, I would love to see the Bucks in the finals against the Nuggets. I'd feel pretty good about that. But I just don't know if I could pick them in any 7-game series right now. They're so inconsistent.
No.
All right.
No, they I don't like the Bucks this year.
I mean, I like Giannis a lot, so I do like the Bucks. I just don't think they're gonna.
Giannis and Dame haven't figured it out. They just haven't. I don't know what the problem is, but they haven't figured it out. Dame doesn't play defense. Chris Middleton is a shell of what he used to be when he was what some people were considering the Batman, and Giannis was the Robin. Portis is insanely inconsistent. He can go off one night and not show the next. Brook Lopez is consistent, but nothing special. So, the Bucks just have some issues. And what they relied on in years past, which was defense and just wearing you down on the offensive end, they don't have that anymore. So, and Doc, again, he's not a great coach, and I don't think he gives you an identity. I can't think back to any Doc Rivers team and go, oh, yeah, they had an identity. Now, if you want to talk about the Celtics' big three, sure, okay, but that identity definitely didn't come from the coaching. That was from Kevin Garnett, guaranteed. So, say what you want. Bucks are in a tough spot, and if Doc comes back next year, epic fail again. So, I don't know what they do at this point.
All right, move out west, Caleb. Give us a rundown real quick, and let's move on to the college basketball scene once you're done with the West.
All right, so here's the West, and this is just absurd to me. The 6th seed right now is Phoenix. New Orleans is tied with Phoenix for record, but Phoenix is the tiebreaker. So New Orleans is in the 7. Sacramento is in the 8. That was the 2 seed last year, or the 3 seed. Sorry,
3 seed.
And they're the 8 seed this year. The Lakers are the 9 seed, and Golden State is the 10 seed. So you're looking at, if things end right now, you're looking at Golden State and the Lakers playing the 9-10 matchup, and Sacramento and New Orleans playing the 7-8 matchup. I would take New Orleans in that matchup right now, and I would have to take the Lakers over Golden State. Lakers have a Golden State's number. As much as I hate saying that, they've owned them. So then you'd have a Lakers Sacramento for the final seed, that 8 spot, and I don't see how the Lakers win that game. I don't. I think Sacramento would beat the Lakers in that situation, and you'd have LA and Golden State out of the playoffs, going home, sitting on their couches watching, with 2 of the top 5 NBA players in the league, in my mind, not in the playoffs.
I'm going to throw this out right now. The play-in games may have the highest ratings of almost any of the games in the playoffs, because the Warriors and the Lakers are going to be in the play-in games.
For any one individual game, sure. I could easily see that. And they're intriguing matchups.
I'm sitting here going,
very intriguing.
I want to watch that.
So, yeah, going to be really interesting. Interesting to see how that unfolds.
Let's be honest. I do not believe in the Warriors at all this year. At all. But
I did when the season started. That quickly went away.
I do think the Lakers can win their way into the 7th or 8th seed. But again, they're going to play Minnesota or Denver.
Well, they can't.
Or maybe OKC.
I mean, the Lakers, if the season ends, if the Lakers finish in the 9 spot, they're screwed. They have to get to the 8 or 7 to hopefully finish in 7. Because if they get the Nuggets in the first round, their season's over real early. I mean, that's a first round exit in the playoff.
I give them a fighting chance against like the Timberwolves or OKC.
Sure. But if the Nuggets end up as the 1 seed and the Lakers end up as the 8 seed, that's disaster. That's disaster for LA. So there's a lot that's going to happen. There's 4 games left. Give me a second here.
4 games, yeah.
Okay, 4 games left. Like we said, next Tuesday, a week from now, these playing games are starting. So it's not like there's a lot of wiggle room left for the Lakers to make a move, right? So, and then you look at, Embiid coming back for the Sixers out of East and what these storylines can look like and how these matchups can start unfolding and what that means for these seedings is pretty wild.
I mean,
so it's
Lakers play the Warriors tonight. And then they play the Grizzlies. They play the Pelicans, which is not a pushover game.
No, they're still fighting to get out of the play-in.
So the Lakers only have 3 left. They play the Warriors, the Grizzlies, and the Pelicans.
Which you give them 2 out of those 3, okay. But even then, I don't think that's enough to get you into the 8 or 7 seed.
So I was hoping the Kings would pull out against the Thunder tonight. That would definitely help.
That would be nice.
It's a 1 point game, 7 minutes left, so anything can happen there. And the Wizards are down 6 to the Timberwolves. We could use the Timberwolves to lose as well.
That would be nice as well.
We'll see. The
Dark
Wizards
Age,
are not known for
you're not
closing
wrong.
games.
You're not wrong. Best record does mean not a whole lot other than you get to the finals, you get home court advantage, which can mean a lot at that point in time.
For the Nuggets, that just means they don't need to steal. At some point in time, they won't need to steal a game on the road.
Right, but we're not talking about the Nuggets. We're talking about the Celtics and why that would mean so much to the Celtics.
Celtics are going to get that. That's going to happen.
They are, I agree, they're not the team to beat. The Nuggets are. The defending champs are the defending champs for a reason, and they're playing like the defending champs. The Celtics do shoot a lot of threes. You're absolutely correct. The Nuggets have kind of had their number as well, given the matchups and the way those lineups interact with each other. This is what the Celtics do have going for them. This is the one thing they have going for them. They have the ability to throw a lot of different offensive weapons at you on any given night. So you can get Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, Holiday, Derek White could get hot. They have some guys that can get really hot for an entire game. The problem with that is those same guys can disappear for a couple games in a row when it comes to big-time performances. So that's where the Celtics – and I've been saying this for years. Some people don't agree. Some people have come around to the idea a little bit. But the Celtics go as Tatum goes, and I think Tatum is the most inconsistent superstar in the league. He's a superstar. So hear what I'm saying. He is a superstar, but he is the most inconsistent superstar in the league. This has been his most consistent season, I would say, but it still isn't a complete up trajectory in my mind yet. And he may never get to that. That just might not be who he is ever. And so that is going to be their problem. And when you can put multiple defenders on him and run at him like the Nuggets can with a Caldwell Pope and a Brown and a Aaron Gordon and so on and so forth, even Michael Porter with his length that could just frustrate him a little bit. That's where the Nuggets have the advantage. And that's what carried them last year was that defensive ability to rotate guys out on those perimeter players and cause the other team's offense to stall a little bit. And then you have the most consistent superstar on the Nuggets team in Jokic that is always going to make sure your offense is running. So it's just a bad matchup for the Celtics.
They turn that they turn that level up in the playoffs. Their defense was much better in the playoffs than it was in the regular season. So
now the Celtics can play some really scary good defense. They just choose not to since Ime Udoka is no longer been the coach for whatever reason. So do they decide to do that in the playoffs? Maybe. Drew Holiday is, in my mind, the best perimeter defender in the league. So they could turn it on. But I think they come out of the East. I think we see a Celtics-Nuggets matchup like a lot of people wanted to see last year. And I think, it's going to be something worth watching.
So, I almost forgot, before we talk college basketball and the weekend that was, Robert, you said you had some soccer you wanted to bring up.
Yes.
Please.
So, Caleb, I don't know how much you've been keeping up with the Champions League. I know that's one of the big ones that you kind of keep up with time to time. Did you catch anything that's happened in the last couple days? So, Munich, one of the top tier teams ever right now, with Harry Kane coming in, they are on a massive losing streak. They just tied with Arsenal today, along with Real Madrid tying 3-3. They've got another round to play, but Real Madrid tied with Man City. So if Arsenal takes down Munich, that means that it might be an all potential Premier League Champions League. Arsenal also retained the top spot this weekend when Liverpool drew with Manchester United at home. There are 7 games left in the Premier League season. If Arsenal can hold on to this, they're going to be the crown of the champions by the end.
So Arsenal is looking at trying to do what Man City did last year and get the treble.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what I'm hearing? Are they in play for the treble?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Also, is it that big of a surprise that the Premier League's top dog? Because, La Liga fell off quite a bit over the last decade. with Ronaldo and Messi and some of those guys moving on, and then a lot of those guys just, aging out. When you talk about some of those epic Barca teams and Real Madrid teams, your Kakas and your Pepes and just to throw out a couple names there, kind of aged out, and the La Liga and then the whole Barca and money and that whole issue is just a whole other set of issues for La Liga as a whole. Serie A hasn't been a whole lot for even before the last decade. I mean, you used to talk about, Inter and Milan and
Barcelona and Atletico are in right now. Atletico.
Well, I know they are,
Dortmund,
but they're not considered true threats, is what I'm saying. Yeah,
I believe Dortmund's gonna wipe the floor with Atletico, and Barcelona's gonna win against Paris. That's just.
And then you get PSG has never been able to, as much money as they've thrown at teams to put together and superstar them, have never been able to do anything really. They look like they're probably losing Mbappe to Real, which would be insane if he shows up in Madrid, and then that changes La Liga instantly. The Bundesliga is the Bundesliga. It's always just kind of solid, but never seems like they've got somebody who's really going to truly fight for that trophy. Might come in as a dark horse, but doesn't seem to truly be the team anybody's favoring. Whether you're talking about Munich or Dortmund,
which
with the way Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, all those teams have been building the last decade, and the fact that Man United isn't even in the conversation is wild, which tells you how poorly they've been run.
And they just drew with Liverpool.
Yeah, so to me, it doesn't feel like a surprise that it would be an all Premier League final. Just based on the way the other leagues have unfolded and handled business. I will say this, and this is going to upset a lot of soccer people. But if the U.S. would get their heads out of their ass and realize soccer isn't going to work like the other major professional sports in America, and you can't
get on the FIFA calendar.
You do have to do regulation. You do have to put these things in a place that all the other leagues in the world do if you want to start competing for these Champions Leagues. And if the MLS doesn't want to do that, then the MLS is going to continue to be a minor league for the rest of the world.
100%.
So there you go. Quick soccer. We're going to be talking a lot more soccer as the next couple of years unfold, guys, because World Cup's coming up. So,
and one last thing with the Bundesliga real quick. I just want to point out Stuttgart, my favorite team, is in third place, tied in the current points with Bayern right now. I'm super excited because they haven't been this good in a long time. So.
Cheers to Stuttgart.
Fuck yeah. 100% on that.
Cheers.
I lived in Stuttgart, so I'm going to.
Riker, you stick around, but you ain't going to see any ones up from anybody around here for that tribal chief.
Hold on.
No, Pinky, we can do that later. I know what you're going to say, and that's fine, and we can do that later. We ain't putting no ones up for the tribal chief right now. He ain't my tribal chief. Hell no. Stick around. We'll talk.
There will be some nonsense to share at the end, too. I got some questions, and Caleb, there are some things I need to share with you, sir, that's happened. But we got to move on.
We've got some guys wanting to talk WrestleMania, so we're going to need
Let's get into WrestleMania. No, let's do the college basketball. Let's move on.
Yeah, college basketball. First of all, let's talk a little bit about Caitlin Clark.
A beast. Although
she
got too tired.
I'm going to say this right now. I am disappointed in the WNBA stars and the way they're addressing Caitlin Clark and what's happening right now.
I'm so glad you said it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I get what they're trying to say. I get where they're coming from, but the message in which they're delivering and the way in which they keep delivering it is just bad. Plain and simple, just bad.
It is disgusting. I hate seeing it.
Look, I don't like to live in stereotypes for the most part. I think there's a lot of comedy in stereotypes, and I think it's funny when groups prove stereotypes true. Isn't it such a woman thing that when a woman's being lifted up, all the other women are trying to tear her down? When all she's doing is trying to get them all paid. If she succeeds, they succeed.
And Ice Cube's like, here's $3 million.
That's why they're trying to tear her down, and it makes no sense because what she's doing for the game is going to make them more money.
If I'm not mistaken, the women's final was watched more than the
Yeah,
men's.
let's not. No, I don't.
Well, there's
Yes,
one of the
that's
guys
true. But what a skewed number that people keep trying to hold up like it was something. It's
well,
not.
hold on. There's this one guy. He just got work from home recently, and so he hasn't been in the office much. He finally shows up in the office. He's a guy going to talk sports too. So I saw him, and I was like, I got to go talk sports.
Are you talking about Steve?
Yeah, Steve. The first thing he talks about is women's basketball. I haven't seen this guy in like probably a month. And the first thing he talks about is women's basketball. So obviously, and he watched it. I didn't watch it. I was like, you know what? The women's game, I'm sorry, it doesn't appeal to me myself. Like it's slower. Their efficiency is not as great sometimes. Like for me, college basketball is sometimes hard to watch in some cases. I do like some of the physicality. I do like some of the pure like basketball. That I watched that UConn game last night, man. That was hard to watch with all the dudes running back around the 3-point line. I'm going to scream, but then I'm not going to do anything with it. And like it was hard to watch.
It was a mess.
But he was talking more about the women's game than he did about UConn. That's something, right?
I'm not. Hey, look. Anybody who wants to take what I just said out of context, you go right ahead. But if you know anything about what we've been talking about and the way I've been talking over the last couple of years, I've been pounding the table for people to check out Caitlin Clark, Paige Buchers, Juju Watkins. I've been telling people to pay attention. So don't take this the wrong way. But when you throw the women's game and it starts at, 1:30 on a Sunday afternoon where nothing else is playing,
right?
And you put it on ABC, not ESPN, where more eyes can physically watch it.
Oh.
That's going to mean something. So it was well done. It was well done by the NCAA, the women's game, and ESPN to highlight it in that way. What the fuck is CBS doing? Why is the men's game tipping at 9:20 Eastern on TBS on a Monday night?
Nothing says we don't want to have anybody watch this than putting on at 9 p.m. and on TBS.
So you put it in prime time, you put it on network television, and I will guarantee you those numbers don't look the same. Now, I'm not trying to take away anything from the women, but I'm getting really, really annoyed over the last couple of years of people comparing these like they're apples to apples. It's not. Caitlin Clark can't play in the NBA, guys. There's zero chance that would happen. Zero.
Whoever's saying that won't happen.
The women's game is not more popular than the men's. It's not. It had a nice little run this year, and it got better primetime air for when it was airing. It was smart.
There was an article I was reading that talked about at the moment, and this has to do a little bit more with like in men's basketball, you got the one and done. You got a lot of the guys that are like, projected to go to the NBA. They leave. They don't stay there 3-4 years. Most of the women, they stay 3 or 4 years.
They have to. They're not getting drafted in the WNBA as a freshman.
So currently, for the WNBA, or at least women's college basketball, they have quite a bit of stars right now.
They do. And that's something that the men's game, for whatever reason, didn't want to or couldn't find because it was more about the team this year. And that was just the way the tournament fell, which is fine. And I'm happy that people finally paid attention to some ladies playing some really good basketball. I'm not going to sit here and listen to this built up story that doesn't have the facts to truly back it up, where the women's game is more popular than the men's. That's just not true. It's not. And I know people can sit here and be like, well, look at the numbers. Okay. So we can talk about one tournament because of one player. You take Caitlin Clark out of that tournament, and those numbers are halved. I will guarantee it.
Well, and I didn't even think of it the way that you brought it up. Like, if you put the men's game on ABC or actual, like, regular television versus TBS, plus you're losing, like, I guarantee you there was barely anybody on the East Coast that was like, I'm going to stay up and watch this game.
You know
They
who
were like
watched it on the
9
East
p.m.
Coast? Connecticut. That's who watched it on the East Coast. Because once 10 o'clock rolls around, if your team's not in it and it's not an insanely good back and forth game, you're not staying up to watch the second half or whatever else you might have checked out. You might not have even tuned in to begin with, because by the time 9:20 rolls around, you're ready to turn on whatever you want to fall asleep, not the game. So it's just dumb. It was just dumb.
I'm going to give Caitlin Clark. I mean, she made women's basketball worth watching. She brought a lot of attention. There's a lot of excitement for what she does next. And again, I just felt like it was such a woman thing to just everybody's trying to tear her down versus lifting her up. Right?
Continuously hearing that over the last couple of days has been mind-boggling to me, especially when it's coming from people like Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird, who at least I thought, were stars and veterans willing to usher her in and welcome her in and make sure she understands she's got to earn it still, to help the game grow, rather than basically telling everybody she ain't that good and we're going to make her feel stupid. Because that's really what they've been saying. Like, she's going to learn that she's not that good. We're all going to smoke her and she's going to have to get checked. Like, okay, well, I'm out. Guess I'm not watching WNBA anymore because you're taking your best talent and flushing them down the drain. Cool. That sounds like a brilliant move, especially when you're talking about trying to separate from the NBA and actually be your own entity. Which, again, how is that even possible when the NBA is still supplementing your literal bottom dollar?
A couple of the previous, WNBA fans or stars are like telling her, like, you're not going to make any money in the WNBA. Take that $5 million from Ice Cube. Like, that's a no-brainer. For one season,
don't play in the big three. He wants to do that for 3 or 4 years with her. She's going to earn more in 3 or 4 years as a big three player than she will earn in a 20-year career in the WNBA.
Especially if she goes to the WNBA and she doesn't quite have the same career in the WNBA, she's going to lose out on a lot of money.
Yeah, man, it's tough. It's been tough to hear, and disappointed is the word that I kept thinking about. Not mad, not angry, because I get where they're coming from. It's just the way in which they're delivering this message is so terrible.
Let's just say it's poor timing, right?
I'll agree with that too.
There's actually excitement for the women's game, and they're just basically like dive bombing that excitement.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. They are. Now on the men's side, let's go ahead and give UConn their roses. I'm gonna run down some stats real quick. As Pinky quoted in our group chat, and Pinky's not a big fan of the term blue blood because he doesn't think it includes the true people it maybe should at times, and I don't disagree with him. Cheers, my guy, to that. But Pinky said UConn is now the bluest of bloods. And I've heard that mentioned in some other places. Over the last 25 years, they absolutely are. Since 1999, UConn has 6 national championships. They are 6-0 in the national championship game. They just finished this tournament with the highest point differential of any team in tournament history. They are only the 5th team to go back-to-back? The first since Florida did it in 11 and 12 or 07, 08, I think. 06, 07, 07, 08, somewhere in there. This is not a joke what Dan Hurley is building at UConn. This is not a one-off. This is not, he had a good group and was able to do it 2 years in a row. No. Dan Hurley told everybody during COVID they had a bad loss. I can't remember the game. But after the game, what he said was, good for them. I mean, you better get us now because you're not getting us later. And since he made that quote, which personally, in my mind, All-time great sports quote. It's right up there in the top 10 of amazing things said by coaches, athletes, GMs, whatever. Right up there with the Randy Moss. How do you pay your fines? Straight cash, homie. It's right up there. You better get us now because you ain't getting us later. And they have since gone on to prove it, and it does not look like they're slowing down.
Right. I would have loved if he had said this would have been before this became popular, but we coming.
Dude, I mean,
They coming, and they're here, and they're here to stay.
So watch what they do. Watch what they do because they are the preeminent program in college basketball right now. And it's not necessarily because of the 6 championships, okay? Because you get one in 99. There was like another one in 04. Then it was like 11, 14, and then now back-to-back with 22 and 23. So they've been spread out, but they've had some years in there too where the program was really low, didn't make the tournament, not making Elite Eights and Final Fours. So there's been some down years in between all of that. Don't get me wrong. But when you've got 6 in the last 25, you've gone through 3 head coaches. 3 different head coaches have won those championships. And the current head coach and the program he's built is looking like it's on a next level of where college basketball is going. And he's ahead of that curve. Watch out for UConn for the next decade.
It'll definitely be interesting to see. Now, they are not the favorite for next season. Duke is the favorite for next season so far.
Well, right now, that's because they got a dude coming in. They got a dude coming in Cooper Flagg.
Well, they have a guy with a lot of potential.
No. This guy is not. Yes, there's potential, Pinky, but this dude's coming in polished.
We shall see. We shall see.
If this guy, like, guys, just pay attention to Cooper Flagg next year. I won't talk a lot about it right now. I've been showing Pinky videos of this dude for like the last 2 years. He's insane, and he just keeps getting better every time I watch him. So, look, I'm a UNC fan, Pinky. We know that. I don't like saying great things about Duke basketball, but I can't deny the talent that I'm seeing from this kid. And then the Boozer brothers. Keep an eye on them next year too. And I'm forgetting where they're going, but keep an eye on them next year as well.
Let me throw this out about Duke because I hate Duke. Duke somehow is this great blue blood program, and they have less championships than UConn has overall.
Yes.
Think about that for a second. Think about how the reverence of Duke and how we think about them and so like how they resonate in our mind.
Well, it's Coach K.
Championships than UConn.
Coach K is Duke. Can Shire build on that and make sure Duke is a true blue blood, or does it end with Coach K? That's the real question with Duke. Duke's got 5, if I'm remembering correctly. They've got 5 total.
I'll Google it.
I believe North Carolina has 6. UConn and North Carolina are tied right now, if I remember correctly. Kentucky has
Duke has 5.
I want to say Kentucky's got 11, and then UCLA's got 13.
I think Kentucky's got 8.
Is it 8?
8.
What's UNC got?
They have 6.
6. And then what's UCLA have? I think it's 13.
I mean, UCLA is probably not fair because they won 10 in a row, but
yeah.
11.
It's 11 total?
11.
Okay.
But keep in mind, UCLA hasn't won one since 95.
I know, but that was a good team. The O'Bannon boys.
You're talking they won 64, 65, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, and 75. Took 20 years off, won one in 95. We haven't heard from them since. So
right, but it's the thing about college basketball is the blue bloods aren't necessarily picked by the championships. Now that is the major factor, Pinky. But then you start talking about overall wins, tournament appearances in a row, Final Fours, Elite Eights, Sweet 16s. that consistency of getting to those levels, whether you want it or not, is what created those teams to be blue bloods. It's the reason Kansas is in there as well. I think Kansas has 7.
I don't think we have that many.
Kansas has quite a few. 5, 7, they're right in there. Is it 5 maybe?
Okay, hold on. There we go. National champions basketball. 6.
6. Okay, so they're right in the mix too. What UConn has done in these last 25 years is they have not only knocked on the door and asked politely, and were told no, but came back, broke down the door, cleared the house, left a foundation, and built themselves up as one of the new blue bloods and allowed the other people to still have a room. Like, that's what's happened over the last 25 years. So Dan Hurley, he's not going anywhere. And UConn's not going anywhere. North Carolina, Duke, Kentucky, they're not going anywhere. Kansas, Bill Self, they're not going anywhere. There is a new member to this upper echelon.
Last thing we talk about college basketball, and then we move on to what we really want to talk about. There are rumors that Kentucky is going to try to get Dan Hurley.
That was going to be the last thing I said. There's no way. Dan Hurley's not a Kentucky dude. Dan Hurley fits so well with UConn.
I can't remember who it was that I listened to, but he made a very, very good point that I thought was like interesting and something to think about. And it was literally about Kentucky can pay a lot of money to him,
right?
Which I think UConn could up the money if they wanted to as well. But what's the future of the Big East with UConn versus the SEC? When we're talking about, they're talking about merging and making super conferences for the different sports.
So this is,
don't know if the Big East is going to really be a player in that.
So there's the old Big East and there's the new Big East. People thought when the old Big East crumbled because of football realignment and you lost the Pitt, the Syracuse, the UConn, those matchups, it was going to be devastating. Well, the new Big East has turned out to be arguably, possibly the best basketball conference in the nation. With UConn, with Creighton, with Marquette. So, in a sense, yes, Pinky, it could be an issue. But if the super conferences are done correctly and the Big Ten and the SEC get their way and do it the right way, those super conferences will be for football only. And we'll have to see how the other sports work out their situations. Regardless of what happens to UConn, though, in any conference realignment, keep this in mind. Kentucky and UConn, for the most part, are both ranked as top 5 coaching jobs in men's college basketball. So it's not like he's leaving a Nebraska or a Colorado, who are great universities, but not great basketball programs per se,
right,
to go to Kentucky. You know, he's leaving arguably the best program right now to go to what he could build up to be the best program again and bring back to prominence. Is that a story worth Dan Hurley's time? I don't know. I don't think so. Based on what I've seen from his personality, he looks like a dude who wants to keep building UConn and make them the greatest program ever, rather than going and helping Kentucky rebuild.
I mean, I think he should stay at UConn. I do. But
I do too.
I think it was interesting to think.
It is an interesting thought. I think the Big East will be fine. I think college basketball will be fine. The name that's getting thrown around now that I see that is interesting is Bryce Drew from Baylor. And he's built that Baylor program into something pretty good. They got a national championship 2 years ago. Don't they? Didn't Baylor win 3 years ago?
No. I don't think so.
I feel like they did.
You want me to look it up?
I'm pulling it. Oh yeah, 2021.
Hmm.
Scott Drew. Scott Drew as the head coach, and he won in 2021 with Baylor. So he's built something there in Baylor that's been sustained. They're a powerhouse in the Big 12. Him at Kentucky could be interesting. So that is a name worth watching. But Kentucky has to get this right because the school in Calipari seemed like they were ready to run it back. And the fan base literally rode him out of town. Calipari said, look, if you're going to, this is how you really feel, this is what you want, I got other places I can go. And
he not under contract anymore?
He is. But it's
how did he leave and go straight to Arkansas then?
Mutual parting of the ways kind of situation. I don't know the details right now, and they haven't really been released. Okay. But the fact that you're not hearing a buyout being talked about sounds like they're going to work something under the table where both parties are like, hey, you know what? It was time. We're good. Let's just go ahead and end it. But yes, he still had a contract. So that wasn't going to be an issue. So I think Arkansas got super lucky. I think they instantly become a contender next year because he's going to bring 90% of his recruiting class with him. So Arkansas will be fine. Kentucky better get this right because if they get this wrong, they are in position to see some hard times.
Which I'm not opposed to. I don't like Kentucky. I mean, again, I don't like Kentucky. I don't like Duke. I don't like UNC. I hate Duke. I really don't like Kentucky, and then UNC is like down here.
Okay, cool.
I would agree with that, Pinky. That I see eye to eye on that one.
Let's go.
Well, with that being said, ni hao, good sir, Jin freaking Ping, welcome. I just thought that was hilarious and shout him out.
It's pretty good.
Well done.
Pretty good Twitter handle.
Well done, Jin freaking Ping. Speaking of freaking, let's roll over to a little wrestling. Some Seth freaking Rollins.
Welcome back to the podcast, Robert.
Yeah, man. I've been waiting for this. I was so excited.
Let's do this. Robert, where do you want to start?
Oh man, why don't we just start from the beginning and just work our way up?
You started, buddy. You started.
So I was a little shocked that honestly they started with Rhea Ripley. I thought that was going to be kind of like later, but like Caleb said, you got to have people in the seats right at the beginning if you're going to try to make it big. So I get that. It was a great show. Definitely looked like a couple times that Becky was going to win it. So
I never thought that they were going to take the belt from Rhea yet.
And coming into this, I guess, kind of late in the game, I see what you're saying there. So I'm not dissatisfied with the outcome. I'm excited to see where it goes from here in the storylines that they're going to go with.
I feel like Rhea's going to keep that until Charlotte's healthy again. No. And then I think Charlotte's going to take it back.
There's another woman that just came in who's about to run through the women's division in the next 2 months maybe, and she'll be carrying that title with her just fine.
No, well, SummerSlam. That's the next big one. Next big one.
We'll give them 3 months. And then is it Jade? Why am I drawing a blank? Jade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's going
the Amazonian chick, whatever, dude.
Yeah,
she beast.
Is, and I do not say that as like a slander to her in any way or form. So please,
that is a compliment of endearment.
Her an Amazonian woman. I mean it with the most respect you can possibly give somebody because she is just like a goddess. Like she looks like a goddess in a way.
Wow.
Like she is a different Amazon. Female specimen than what you normally see in life.
Speechless.
Dude, she is
wow.
Damn.
And I don't say that about very often, but damn.
When she came out with Naomi and Bianca and she made those two look small.
Yo, really though, when they
that's a woman. Like that is a 100% grade A style. Like, damn, she's gonna mess some people up.
She ate all her meals and then some.
But she turned him into energy for her guns.
Yeah, dude. She's she ate her snacks and then some. She is a good-looking female with a lot of talent. That's why I believe she will run through that division, because there's nothing I see that the WWE would be like, we can't run your story. I don't see anything that's going to be able to hold them back from just accelerating her right to the top.
I think they're gonna continue the slow burn with her right now.
I think she's a champion by SummerSlam, and I think within that time she ends Bianca's career for the next year or so, and that story is completely gone, and she just starts making people her bitch.
Okay.
I can see that.
Let's see what I'm trying to find an article that talks about Saturday, which was the very first night.
The next one should be the tag team with the ladders and for the
lame.
Yeah, that was kind of really disappointing.
Lame.
That was very that sucked. That
the
was
only
my
great
least
part
favorite
about
event.
that was allowing R-Truth and The Miz to win the Raw tag team titles. Allowing Fury and Grayson Waller to like dumb. But then again, there's not really any good tag teams in the WWE right now.
I mean, yeah, right now there's like when they brought out all those tag teams, I was like, eh.
At that point, I was more interested in watching the Purdue game, which it was not good anyway.
Yeah, there's just not a good tag team. There's not a true, real good tag team in the WWE right now. So it's just, we're going to have a kind of a lame, probably next year, to be honest with you, until somebody kind of steps up to the forefront. But the true tag teams now are all
I'll be honest, like the tag teams right now are so bad. It makes me miss Jimmy and Jay Uso being tag team champions. Like
that match was awesome. It was enjoyable for it being like the brother against brother, but it was also sad because it's like, bro, it's your brother. Come on.
They put on a good show. They did put on a good show.
It was probably one of my favorite matches from the weekend between Saturday and Sunday.
All right, so I'm pulling it up now. Let's see here. What did we have? Yeah, that whole ladder match, like I'm still thinking the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys, and I want to say there was a third team that I might be forgetting. WrestleMania years ago. That was a tremendous ladder match. This one just failed in comparison.
Well, I think the silver lining, if you will, that we do have with the tag team division is the fact that this is I think I heard somebody say the Triple H era, where he's basically bringing back as much as he can the Attitude Era. And The Rock is obviously on board with that as one of the board members of TKO, based on the way he came out as the heel. I mean, and some of the verbiage he used with some of the crowds, definitely is Attitude Era reminiscent.
You crackhead Terrence.
Yeah. So I think that's the silver lining. Is I think we're going back more towards that Attitude Era, and that will allow some tag teams to come up and step up over the next year. It's just going to take some time to groom that into the fold.
I'm excited to see how it unfolds over the next year for sure. Being a new wrestling enthusiast, I'm excited.
Not a great match overall, but who doesn't love Jason Kelce showing up in Philly? Can that guy do any wrong? Right?
That was awesome.
I mean, that match was worthless until Kelce and Lane Johnson jumped out wearing luchador masks.
And it sucks that Lane Johnson, based on Lane Johnson still being an active player, he couldn't really do anything. If you rewatch it, Lane Johnson actually doesn't do anything.
No, that's the beauty of Jason Kelce.
Kelce does.
Look, and none of this
all the
happens
Jason,
if he doesn't
man.
randomly find a luchador mask at a Super Bowl party. So whoever's luchador mask that was, and I know Kelce ended up finding a way to return it to the original owner because I ended up hearing it was a kid. who like let Kelsey borrow it, and then Kelsey was so wasted it ended up with him for the night. Woke up and felt bad that he basically stole this mask from the kid and figured out how to get it back to him. But because of that, thank you, young man. You gave us a Philly luchador going to work. So that was cool. That was cool. And let's be honest, in recent memory, can you remember anybody living up retirement as much as Jason Kelsey is?
Bro, like, he can do no wrong.
No.
I think my wife is really sad that she literally became a Jason Kelsey diehard fan the year prior when they went to the Super Bowl, and not before that.
Oh yeah, she commented something on the post that we posted about all of this. Basically, like, can he do anything wrong? And I said, yeah, not disappoint you.
So, yeah, and I got my Jason Kelsey jersey, and she was so pissed that I didn't get her one. I was like, okay, I'll order you one. It's fine. I'll order one. It's fine. Although he's retired now, so like, you know.
So that was cool. And then you got, the final match.
Well, you had Bianca, Naomi, and Cargill.
Yeah, we already talked about that though.
Yeah, that was okay. You had Sami Zayn and Gunther. And
the Ring General.
I will say, I really appreciated Gunther's reign as champ.
I don't like I'm not a Gunther fan, but I respect him as a great heel. He handled his business really well.
Like, he's just that arrogant guy that, like, I don't feel like he's a heel. He's just like that guy that's playing that, like, I'm better than you, and I know it. He's
I mean, that's kind of the heel, because I feel like he wasn't looking for the fan support. You know what I mean? That's usually what the heel is. They're the guy, the anti-hero, if you will. So, but you're right. To an extent, he's not a true heel. He's not a Roman or a Rock or something along those lines. But yeah.
And there's something about Sami Zayn. I mean, it's funny. It's fun to me when he gets beat up and then he ends up coming back. But I just, like, for me, how long can they keep him champ, right?
I agree. I'm done with the Sami Zayn redemption story. We've done that enough now. Like, Sammy's okay. He puts on a decent match.
Like,
You're always going to get something from him, but
I enjoy Kevin Owens a lot more. That's me.
Yep, I agree. Sammy doesn't have bad matches, though. I'll give him credit. The dude puts on a show. I just don't think he's that charismatic where I really care.
And then we had the finale of night one, which was absolutely the coolest thing of night one. I loved the final match with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins versus Rock and Roman Reigns. Now, you could tell Seth Rollins was definitely not 100% in that match, for sure. And if you really think about that match, they really didn't wrestle a lot in that match. A lot of that match was outside the ring, brawling, not really being slammed. You didn't see a lot of,
Well, it was also like, it felt like Cody and Seth were constantly trying to figure out what was going on to start the match, because it was a standard match. It wasn't a no rules. It wasn't a street brawl. Right. It wasn't a no hold bar. It was a legit regular match, but the ref wasn't going to disqualify The Rock, being the final boss on the board of TKO. Obviously had some words.
Yeah,
so they weren't going to. Yeah, they weren't going to disqualify him or Roman Reigns for doing things that they weren't supposed to. And then you could tell maybe about a third of the way, halfway through the match, all of a sudden Cody and Seth kind of were like, oh, well, then let's go. And they tried to pick it up and start doing those same things. It just felt like it was too little, too late kind of thing.
What were you going to say, Robert?
That when Rock was like, hey, you're going to let me do this or you're going to be fired and stuff, like, taking full advantage of that board, because you could see him out that was incredible. I'm like, bro, dude is flexing on this right now, and it's insane.
That's final boss, baby. He's playing that character.
And it was excellent. So again, like coming into this, like late in the game, and understanding wrestling, that was pretty wild to see. So I'm excited to see kind of how that goes from here.
I think it played out exactly what we thought it would, though, right? With Roman Reigns and The Rock winning the match in the end.
What's funny is, again, what was on the line for the match. If Cody wins and Seth Rollins win, no bloodlines at the match the following night. If they lost, then it's bloodlines rules. And that leads into, and we'll discuss that, of how that impacts that match when it's bloodline rules. I will say, watching The Rock in the ring, mostly outside the ring, it just brought back just such good memories, you know, and that's where I know we're in a new era. I know they're going to try to change things up, but I tell you, Rock, Cena, Undertaker, Stone Cold, Randy Orton in his prime, Dave Bautista, like they just don't have that star power right now.
And that, again, we talked about that. That was on Vince McMahon. He relied too heavily on Brock Lesnar and then Roman Reigns, and he didn't build the talent around, which you and I have talked about, Pinky. There's been some guys over the last couple of years who are like, why aren't you building this dude up a little more? Why aren't we running with the story a little more? And they just didn't, because they wanted Lesnar and Roman. They wanted, you know, the same old, and now they're paying for it. So this is where it gets interesting, is to see what Triple H and The Rock and the board of TKO do to promote, build, and increase the star power to that Attitude Era level again, where you got a bunch of people that people care about.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm fingers crossed. All right, so Sunday, Robert, did you watch all of Sunday?
I got like 3/4 of the way through it. I've yet to finish it. I've had a couple of things come up with some family things, so I haven't been able to commit a lot of time.
So you didn't finish like the end of it?
No, I know what happens. I know that Cody ends up taking down Roman. I just haven't seen it all happen, so I'm not sure what all plays into it. But I do know that I know I needed to get a quick up to date and quick read. But I've got like I think it's like 30 minutes left.
You got to watch that last match. It's definitely worth it.
Well, spoiler alert's incoming, so you're just gonna watch it and know.
Oh yeah, no, I'm good. I did, like I said, I did a quick like, hey, I need to get caught up on this couple events real fast, and then I'm set. So no worries.
So here's what's funny to me, and this is maybe why, you know, when they do the 2-night extravaganza, night 2 is just so much better than night 1. Like, if you didn't watch night 1, I don't know if you missed a whole lot except for the last match. Like, I feel like that last match was really what was worth watching. And everything else, if you didn't watch it, you didn't miss anything.
I will agree with you to an extent. I actually kind of dislike the 2 nights right now because they don't have enough star power. That Seth Rollins Drew McIntyre match was a little bit on the lame side for me. Because Seth was obviously already suffering from the night before and a couple other nights before. So that was a little disappointing, but I liked how they handled McIntyre winning, and now he's still got a lot of things to fight for, because he had the title for all of 5 minutes, and then CM Punk punked him, and then Damian Priest came out and finally cashed in his Money in the Bank, and now he's the champ. So I like the overall arc. The match itself, though, felt a little lame because Seth wasn't able to be 100%.
Yeah, Seth wasn't 100%. I'd already booked it that he was losing that match.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'd already booked it. When I saw CM Punk ringside, I was like, oh yeah. And we had talked about it last week that Damian Priest hadn't cashed in his Money in the Bank yet, and I knew he was going to cash in He was gonna cash in.
He had to. It's coming back up.
And there's only two things for him to cash in: Logan Paul or Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. And I felt like he would go with the Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. So it sets up so many things. The way that CM Punk punked Drew McIntyre could go and, have a vendetta with him and beat his ass. Drew McIntyre can try to hunt down and try to get the title from Damian Priest. So it starts to bring up a separate storyline that we can get there,
Sure. Sure.
I agree. The match itself wasn't phenomenal, but I mean, Seth Rollins was definitely compromised. He had anytime you see somebody with the strips on their back or their muscles, their shoulders or something, that's just not a good look, man. Something's wrong.
So we'll see, but yeah, you're right. Like the match itself, not great, but the storylines it opens up after.
And I will say, I'm sure it was a timing thing. I would have liked to seen Drew and Damian Priest actually like wrestle a little bit, and then have Damian win it. I mean, he literally put up one move and it was out. It was done.
Well, that's the Money in the Bank. That's the whole point. Is the guy's already beat to hell, and you go out there and you throw your finishing move on him and you pin him like that. That is what Money in the Bank is. So he cashed in at the right time. I am disappointed that they haven't figured out that Logan Paul needs to be basically headlining night one. Man. Whatever his match is, let that headline night one, because
being new to the game, Robert, when you see Logan Paul, what do you think?
Oh man, I want to see him get his ass beat sometimes just because I know what he's done in the past. But I know that from what I've seen, he's a great wrestler, and it's awesome to see him. It's great seeing what he does because the athleticism behind it really speaks to what he's willing to do, and it's awesome to see. And honestly, that was probably when we watched the cage match together, Pinky. I think that was one of my big disappointments is they brought him in the game too late, and then he got his ass beat.
Like, you're talking about Elimination Chamber?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the guy's name? The bigger guy.
Bobby Lashley?
The Mohawk. I think so, yeah. And he just took Logan Paul and just threw him through the chambers and just totally went baller. That was awesome. But I felt like they brought him in too late. So it's just like one of those things. He was the last one to kind of get into the match, and then he was in there, then brought out the brass knuckles at the end after he was already out. Like seeing
whatever your feelings are about Logan Paul, and I kind of think he's a turd and a douche.
He's a certified douche.
That guy can freaking wrestle and do things
absolutely
that you just don't see on a regular basis. I was night 2. I watched the first half with my dad, and then I came home and watched the second half. And I happened to be watching that match with my dad, and my dad was like, "Wait, what did he just do?" I was like, "He flipped over the ropes and then jumped on a guy." Or he did like that one where he did like a frog splash and then like bounced off of him and went to the next guy. That was a crazy match with Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Mm-hmm. Very enjoyable match. I like Kevin Owens a lot. I just think I like his demeanor. I also like that he's like my body type. So it makes me feel like I could get in there and do those things. But I know I couldn't, but it just makes me feel like I could if I had put the proper training in.
I like it. Now, the main event. Let's discuss.
Hold on.
Nah, there's nothing else to discuss.
Well, I mean, Bayley won a title.
Right.
Good
nothing
for her.
else to discuss.
Woo, Bayley won.
Yeah, we don't care about the tag match.
You do this to me every time. Like, you always are like, well, no. We talked about it all, Pinky. That matters. Like, we're good. Like, we can.
Yeah, you were right. The other matches that happened really don't matter in the scheme of things.
So, Riker. Let's say it again. Hell no. Hell no. That tribal chief was the weakest champion the WWE has seen in the last 40 years.
I can't disagree with that. I will give him the respect that they marketed him right. They got people watching, and the WWE has grown and in a better place as he leaves as champion. So I will give him respect for that. And that's the most he'll get from me. I agree with you. Like, again, to me, I want a champion that's wrestling on Monday nights or Friday nights or both nights. I want a champion that's there and doing stuff. Like, he only wrestled every 3 months. Whenever they did a pay-per-view, he wrestled. Other than that, he didn't.
Yes, it would be nice to see him more. I don't disagree with you there, Pinky. That's not my biggest beef. My biggest beef is the fact that he didn't win one match without the assistance of at least 2 other people.
Right.
Like that. No.
I mean,
no.
Every match I watched, as I found out that it was free on Peacock and started watching, every match I watched, it was interrupted by somebody else, and that's how he won. And that's one of the things that actually drew me away from wrestling back in the day. And I can't remember the exact time period that it was, but that was the norm in every single match. And it was just like, this is so old. Like, that's the same thing every single match. We're not getting a true competition of talent and story. We're just getting somebody coming out and messing with the ref or messing with, pulling them out or whatever it was to interfere, to let the other guy win. And that's just so old to me. Like, I just don't need that. If you want to throw that in every once in a while, totally cool with that. But I don't need it every single match. And that's basically Roman's reign, was every single time. And
every single
I don't know how, as an entertainer, that he didn't bring that up.
Because the whole part of him being the heel in his story was the fact that didn't matter. He won regardless of the help. And that's how they kept playing it off. It was just lame. Like, plain and simple, it was just lame. If it had been 1 or 2 times where somebody came out and, when he was doing Orton, and Orton caught a lucky RKO or something out of nowhere, off of a spear or something. Okay, you bring one in the Usos in or Sikoa or whatever as a one-time, one-off kind of thing. Maybe it happens a year later or something. Fine. Cool. He didn't win a single match when he was trying to defend the championship without at least 2 of the bloodline jumping in to affect the outcome. Lame. You're not a very good champion if you always need somebody else's help to maintain and retain your title. I don't remember The Rock getting that. I don't remember John Cena having a bunch of people coming to help him. I sure as shit don't remember anybody coming to Stone Cold's back to pull him off.
And this goes back to the lack of superstars that they have right now. Because back in the day, The Rock would win, Stone Cold would win it back, Cena would win, Undertaker would win. Like, they would move it around. Ric Flair would win. They would move it around.
There's a reason these older generations are 20-time world champion and 15-time world, because they were constantly fighting each other and going back and forth. Roman was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna win and then take 3 years off. Peace."
Yeah, it was disgusting. Now, Robert, I know you can't comment a lot because you didn't watch the match yet.
Yeah. I'm still getting there.
It is something you do have to finish. It was very enjoyable. I mean, we're gonna spoil it now because we got to talk
You're
about
fine.
it. All the cameos were done really well. Really well. If I remember correctly, it started with Jimmy coming down.
Well, Jay came out to help Roman. So then Jimmy came out. You heard Jimmy's music come out. He came running down the ring.
I had it backwards, yeah. So Jay came out to help Roman.
Yeah.
He did what he needed to do. As he's going backstage, Jimmy comes out and he literally spears them off the platform like 10 feet down.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome.
So
That
those
was
two are
definitely-
out of commission, right? They're done. See ya.
Yeah. They're done. They're like, we're chilling down in the pit. And then Sokoa comes down to help. Which, again, that dude is like size-wise and aggression. He's a perfect character because, man, he puts a whooping on
He's
you.
he's like what you, before people got wise and realized it was just really bad publicity and not facts. He's like what you would think of like a Rottweiler back in the day or something, just
Man, yeah.
stacked, vicious, ready to just destroy anything. He comes out, they get a Samoan spike and a spear at the same time on Rhodes. Well, that's probably hard for Cody to come out. Well, story's still going. Hang on, he kicked out. What's going to happen next?
Who comes out?
The trumpets, baby. The trumpets.
I don't think Robert knows who that is yet.
I know who that is.
Mr. John Cena comes
Mr.
running
John
down the ramp.
Cena. I'm not that fucking sheltered.
I'll say John Cena looks a little slim these days. He does not look as pumped as he has in the past.
Although he's about to get pumped for Peacekeeper.
He will get pumped for Peacemaker. That's absolutely
Peacemaker,
true.
my bad.
And he runs down, puts a whooping on Sokoa, actually throws him through the table, the announcer's table, which is always fun. Gets him out of the way. And then The Rock comes down. I will say I was a little sad that Cena's just like, whatever, and Rock bottoms him.
Yeah, the way they handled that was lame. Unfortunately,
I don't mind that he rock bottomed him, but it was like super easy and just okay.
Their history, there should have been more there. There should have been a little back and forth. It would have been nice to see Cena give The Rock a 5-knuckle shuffle out of nowhere. Like a real quick takedown, 5-knuckle shuffle, and then The Rock kind of like scramble to his feet out of nowhere and then do the rock bottom or something. That would have been better. But it was cool to still see him standing in the ring for a second. But then all of a sudden you realize, like, after like a second, you're like, Cena's just going to be his bitch, isn't he?
And then the lights go out, Robert. And it's the dead man.
No. Wait, it's better than that, Pinky. You don't do it justice. The dong of the bell goes off, and then the lights cut. So you truly feel the oh shit.
And The Rock is literally they put the lights back on. You can see the Undertaker behind him, and The Rock's like cursing. They didn't quite let you see what he was saying specifically, but he was literally like, "Get out here, I will mess you up," like all this stuff. He turns around, Undertaker just grabs a hold of him. And I will tell you, and I know The Rock jumped. You could tell The Rock jumped on this because Undertaker literally, I mean, he got some air on this choke slam. Like it was a very good choke slam. And then the lights went out again, and they were all out of the ring. I'm assuming they all got into position like at the very bottom of each ring or corner or skirt or whatever. Because then it was just Roman and Cody in the middle of the ring again. All we needed.
And then we got a little bit of action from there. We got...
I think we'd agree. The only thing missing was a little bit of Stone Cold. I just don't know if he could have made his way to the ring with his knees. I don't know how that would have worked.
So I'm actually glad they didn't include the rattlesnake because, look, we all know I love the rattlesnake. We know how I feel about Stone Cold. That's my goat. I love that guy. Best entrance music, right? Like you hear that glass breaking and shit's about to go down. Like that's the beauty of Stone Cold. It wasn't just, somebody's going to come out and talk. No. Shit's going down when that glass breaks, right? I'm glad they didn't include him, though, because he doesn't have... There's 0 point to him being out there unless he's going to mess everybody up. Stone Cold wouldn't have been on a side for any of that. So you would have had to have him come out and stun The Rock and then stun Cena or The Undertaker or Roman and then Cody. Like, it would have just been The Rock to come out to just level everything up again. There wouldn't have been him coming out to defend one way or the other. So that's why I'm glad they left him out of this particular situation. Because he's better in, like, if it was just like I could see if this Rock and Rhodes story goes for the next year and becomes WrestleMania 41, I could see Stone Cold intervening in that just for shits and giggles. Just because it's like a one-on-one and he's just going in there to stir the pot. But it wouldn't have made sense to me, at least as a Stone Cold fan, to see him in this situation. I like the way it was handled.
You have a lot to look forward to, Robert.
I have been looking forward to it. I should have some time tomorrow. Like I said, I got some family things going on, so I'm not actually going to be in the office. So I'm going to help out some family members. So I should have some time, and I should finish it up.
25 minutes.
Last 25, you're going to get a couple Superman punches, a couple spears, a couple different crossroads, 3 in a row. Like, shit goes down, and Cody, to his credit, continue to rise to the occasion. They picked the right guy to move into this new era with, and he held the crowd and handled it in a very, very masterful way.
Man. So one of the best things is when you see the ring fill up with Sami Zayn.
Well,
Cena.
wait, before you even get there, though, when he gets the 1, 2, 3 finally, when he pins Roman and gets that 1, 2, 3, you can see the crowd erupt, and then you can hear it in the ring announcer's voice as she's announcing him how emotional it is for a lot of people that this new story is starting.
Absolutely. And it's...
And then you get the visual that you were about to talk about.
That's when you know you've done a good job, when the crowd feels it, when the audience at home feels it, right? That, like, oh my God, he did it. I mean, again, I think we agree. Both of us thought like he was going to do it. I just, like, it just seemed like it was time for this to happen at this time. Because if they didn't let Cody win, who do they bring to beat the Roman Reigns? He's beat everybody.
Well, it's not just that. They were going to go with The Rock versus Roman. We knew that. As soon as we heard The Rock was coming back, it was going to be Rock versus Roman for head of the table. That was going to be the story.
Right.
And more power to The Rock and that new board and Triple H and everybody else involved, because they listened, and they listened very quickly and realized that wasn't going to be good. It just wasn't going to be the story that the fan base wanted to see and hear.
He talked about that a lot.
He did.
In all the interviews he did this weekend.
He did.
He talked about that a lot of, this is what we were planning to do. And then, you know, a good leader, he always says, I'm not a good leader, but, you know, a good leader would listen, and a good leader has to always know how to pivot.
And they did. They pivoted well. They allowed The Rock to come in to support the bloodline and his cousin and make sure he stayed head of the table, kind of thing. And then they could have done something, you know, that was kind of the underlying thing there is, let Roman, I'm going to help you keep it, and then we're going to decide how we're going to handle this. That was kind of the underlying tone for that, right? But I'm going to support you in beating Cody. And then now Cody beats Roman. And unfortunately, I do believe part of the reason the story is written this way is because I think Roman's got some health issues again, unfortunately. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But the dude's beat cancer twice now, hasn't he? So
I don't know the specifics on that, but I know he beat it once. And
so
I'm hoping she said on Saturday that was twice.
But the more I think about it, the more I wonder if part of the reason he wasn't a fighting champion is due to the health issues that he's constantly dealing with. And the second part is, did this story go this way because of that? So I think my questions were answered Monday Night Raw when Roman didn't show up. Paul Heyman wasn't there. The Rock talked way too long and got a little cringy, in my opinion. But I think that was telling and I don't think we're going to see a lot of Roman Reigns going forward. And I think that'll be health.
I think Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins are taking a little break for just a little bit.
I agree. I think they both will. So it's Cody's to run with. Now, I think they're doing well with the Drew McIntyre line and the way that championship looks as well. So it'll be interesting to see then who comes to challenge Cody going forward and what that looks like. But I think we could get a really interesting year because I think 41 is going to set up to be Rock.
It's going to be CM Punk.
I think it's going to be Rock and Cody at 41. How that unfolds over this next year will be interesting.
I think CM Punk is getting Cody at SummerSlam.
Okay. I could see that. Okay. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this next year unfolds. But it was more than time for that Bloodline storyline to crumble and die. It was more than time.
Well, now they're talking. They're bringing in one of their other cousins that's been at one of the other wrestling places. He's coming over and he's joining the Bloodline.
Fun.
So it's not dead. It's not dead.
Well, I know the Bloodline isn't dead. I get that there's going to be some fallout and they'll try to recoup and redo and build again. But it's not the Bloodline Championship anymore. They're going to have to redo how things are handled.
Oh, brother.
So I will say, again, coming back to like the aftermath of just seeing the elation of all the athletes in the ring with Cody, was really like, and you could just see like their absolute like they're supportive.
They were good with him being the story,
and
right?
it was
Is that
just
a way to say it.
Yeah. I mean, his mom was there. Seth Rollins was there.
Good passing of the torch.
I do love Seth Rollins being there in the Shield outfit when he had said.
I mean, we didn't even talk about him coming into the ring, about to take out The Rock, and Roman came flying out of nowhere across the ring, and Superman punches him to oblivion.
Well, he takes that chair to him.
After Superman punched him.
Yeah, Roman takes that chair to
but
Rollins.
Yeah, Seth coming out, the Shield music coming on out of nowhere, and then them trying to find him in the crowd. The fact that Seth did that and was willing to do that still shows you how much he truly believed that it was time for this story to end. Like, it was bad. It wasn't good for anybody. It was holding the business. Like, everything he said of why he was doing it. And McIntyre saying that he was too concerned about that and wasn't worried about the belt. They played these all really well into that final match with Rhodes and Reigns.
They were already saying Seth's taking a couple months off just to like heal up. So he'll be back. But when you see that, Robert, like, I'll be honest, like my wife, I think she had a tear in her eye. I know I probably had one or two. And it wasn't like, it's one of those moments that's not staged. Like, everybody that came into that ring was literally filled with emotion for Cody. And
that's cool.
You just can't write those things, right? It's just like, that's like just something that just happened. So.
And everybody's like, well, you knew the outcome. Why are you so like, dude, I pretty much knew the outcome on my wedding day, but I was still pretty damn emotional. Like, some things could change, but I felt pretty confident I knew where that day was going. The same thing is true with wrestling. Like, you can feel pretty confident you know what's going to happen. You could tear your ACL in the middle of the match and things pivot. There's things that can happen where that story could change still. There is precedent for that happening throughout the history of the WWE. There were matches that didn't go as expected. They pivoted, and then Vince McMahon was really pissed, like the writers were really pissed because now they had to redo something that they weren't planning on happening. So it's possible. But for people to sit here and be like, well, you shouldn't have been emotional because you already knew. You're like, dude, shut the hell up.
Screw that.
I felt really good that my wife was going to say I do by the time we were done doing the ceremony, but I was still really emotional when she said it.
Yeah, man.
I enjoyed, I will say, so night 2, we got home, and my youngest, Harmony, was watching it with me, and Hannah was watching. And during the final match, she put her phone down, and we actually watched it. And Harmony's just going crazy, rooting for Roman Reigns. And she's rooting for The Rock, and she's just like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And she was so angry, and she just had emotion, and I was just like, I love it. I love that bringing out that feeling, right? And now she's like, I want to be a wrestler, and I was like, I'll send you to wrestling college. It's on me. It's fine.
Hell yeah.
So
you're right though, Pinky. It is like, I don't care if people want to call it fake or the outcome or whatever you want to say. Pinky and I continuously say this. It is entertainment. Take it for just that. Allow it to entertain you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about whether it's fake or real or the story is not true or whatever. Don't just take the entertainment away from it and enjoy that. And you're not going to be mad. I promise.
Let's say it louder for the people in the back.
Once you've been watching it long enough, you know, like when they're doing their punches and they're stomping the ground, they're not really hitting them, right?
Sure.
You know, like you can kind of tell like what is like real, fake, all that. I will tell you, when you get power bombed, and I can't remember who it was. I remember seeing somebody this weekend, and they got put up in a power bomb, and they got like put way up in the air.
It was
and
Sammy.
They got dropped.
It was Sammy. It looked like his neck.
Oh, that's
twice.
right. Yeah.
Oh man. And I was like, I don't care that it's fake. That hurts. And he will feel that tomorrow without a doubt.
Hell yeah.
So I was like,
but if you allow it to entertain you, you will find yourself all of a sudden having feelings one way or another, and emotions will start bubbling up. And you will sit there and go, this is fake as shit. And I don't give a fuck because I don't want that dude to win. And I am mad that he's still in the ring. Like, you will find yourself doing it. Just allow it. It's fun.
And that's why I love Logan Paul so much. Just watching him is when he does, like when he jumped off the top rope and did the frog splash. And it was one of the like most aggressive frog splashes I've seen. I was like, wow. I'm just blown away by that athleticism that he has every time I watch him wrestle.
Dude, absolutely. He's standing on the top rope, which is already 4.5 feet above the ring, right?
Right.
And then he's jumping another 3.5 feet up in the air and another 6 feet out and coming straight down on top of somebody. Call it fake all you want, but it's still a real landing.
Bro, when those guys jump off the top rope and somebody puts their knees up, there's no good way to hit their knees jumping off that top rope. It's going to hurt.
Or how about watching Roman and Cody slam each other onto concrete footers? Because that's what they did. You were watching that match when they went outside the ring and they were standing on that obstacle that was covered in black tablecloth. That was a cement footing. Now, was there a possible pad underneath that? Maybe, but you're talking about a 1-inch thick wrestling pad. You're still going to feel the cement. Like, these dudes are beating themselves up. And they're putting on a story in a show that is written. Yes, absolutely. Then call them actors. Call them actors that do their own stunts, okay?
They do.
And if you do that, I
school.
promise you will enjoy Monday night, Friday night, and your occasional Sundays.
100%.
But I think there's some really cool storylines they can run with now going forward. It'll be interesting to see how the aftermath of the bloodline unfolds and what that looks like. How Cody defends this and how long they allow him to keep it. And just some of the other things that we discussed. There's going to be a lot of fun over the next couple of months.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Let's talk about some nonsense real quick. We got some time.
All right, Robert.
Wrestling.
Tell us what you want to talk about, brother.
Dude, so I mean, as a Star Wars fan, I personally love Solo. I personally think it is a very underrated film overall, and I think it is one of the best Star Wars entries we've had in recent years. That being said, Star Wars Outlaws is a new video game that's coming out. Emilia Clarke is coming back as Kira, and this focuses on the timeline between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. which means that when Solo happens right before or right after Obi-Wan, there's a lot of time that happens there. So Kira gets up to a lot of stuff. So Caleb, I wanted to share that with you. So it's not completely dead. There's still hope for Solo and some things there going forward.
I wish we had gotten the original Solo. I would love to know what that was like before Ron Howard got his hands all over it.
I do hear you on that one.
I like the movie. I'm with you. I like it. But I'm also I'm a unique Star Wars fan in the fact that I love the prequels from the jump. And I thought they added 100%. A ton to the overall universe. So anybody putting them down was a dumbass. And I also feel like those same people that put down the prequels are the same ones saying that the new trilogy was good. And I know you and I don't agree, but I still believe The Last Jedi is the best of those three because it tried to do something new, unique, and different, which is what Star Wars is actually about, not rehashing movies that had already been made. So while Star Wars fans may not like what happened to Luke or the casino scene, fine. At least Rian Johnson tried to stay true to what Star Wars truly is at its heart, which is not remaking A New Hope and The Last Jedi. So in that regard, it's an interesting dichotomy that Star Wars fans currently have because they're going to have to build off the new three because Disney's not getting rid of them, unfortunately. But they've done enough with allowing Filoni and Favreau and the likes to build the universe outside of just the movies and expand on those other stories from the Clone Wars and Rebels and bringing those things back into the fold, which Disney had originally said they weren't going to do, that will end up, in my mind, saving everything. So I say all that to say this, Robert. Do we get a Solo too?
Well, and there's some good, you made some pretty distinct comments there that I'm going to build off of, and I'm going to end up at that question here. So, and I've been stressing it to you for a while. I know you said you've got through seasons 1 and 2, and you're just waiting for season 3 to finish up for the Bad Batch.
I want to binge it now because that's how I've been going. So I don't want to have to wait a week to week.
I understand that completely, and your questions will be answered with that out of the gate. I'm not going to come out with spoilers on that.
Okay.
They are alluding to a lot with the newer movies. As much disdain and hatred as I have for them, these seeds have been planted even long before Bad Batch. It's even in the Clone Wars. It's there. I am enjoying the story as much as I hate where it goes. I do love where the inklings have been planted and how dark it's going for them to get to where they did. That being said, I think this is going to be a good template for them to do Solo 2. I do think it is going to happen, but this is going to be a good segue to do that because this provides Kira with another story 20 years later from when Solo ends with Darth Maul at the Crimson Dawn. So
I love that idea. Because
very excited.
What happened when she left Solo and just flew off into the sunset, knowing it was in his best interest to not come with her because Darth Maul is a mother. Basically saving Solo's life is what Kira was doing right there.
Yep.
What does she go on and do? That's going to be a cool story to follow.
So excited. Pinky.
My opinion, I actually really enjoyed Solo. I think it's a really good movie. I'm not I didn't like the actor they got to play Solo.
I didn't mind him.
Excellent.
I didn't mind him. Yeah, I thought he was good.
I like him as an actor. I don't know, man. I didn't like his portrayal of that character.
I thought he
and that was the only.
He was perfect as Solo.
Yeah, I disagree, but that's my only nitpick of the movie. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was entertaining. It was a shame that they pretty much canceled it at that point. But
here's my question: we already know we're getting a new Rey movie. It's happening, whether we like it or not. It's happening. When it happens is a different story. We don't quite know. I mean, that could be delayed and bounced around. I personally think no matter what, it will happen.
Oh, yeah.
My silver lining, my silver grace is such that the way Filoni has brought back in all the other Jedi that were still alive, we're not going to get a Rey Skywalker rebuilding the Jedi story. If Disney's smart, what they'll do is have Rey Skywalker join the true Skywalker in Ahsoka and watch Ahsoka and her band of Jedis build back the Order correctly.
Well,
and Rey can be a part of that.
Ahsoka's in another universe right now, so we gotta get her
back.
Yeah.
But we all know what that other universe is leading to based on the way it ended with the fallen Jedi who went there not to be really a member of the Empire, but use it as a means to get to what he wants, which is, and I'm not even going to say it right now, Robert. We'll discuss this in more detail later because I kind of feel like it's almost a spoiler, and I don't want to quite spoil it just yet, if you will.
Okay.
But what he's looking for in that other universe, what he's going to find is beyond epic, and it is the reason I said Skywalker would beat Superman. So kind of keep that thought in context, if you will.
Where you're going with this, and it's excellent. And that's actually one other comment I'm going to leave here with for the Star Wars side of the nonsense here. So one thing that I had started with my wife right around the holidays is watching Clone Wars in chronological order. With that, I am 5 episodes away from the Mortis arc, and she loved Ahsoka, and she didn't understand why I literally had to go change my pants at the end of Ahsoka because it was just amazing.
What that alluded to, Pinky, is big time. Big time.
And one last thing there, Caleb, for your speculation, if you will, to get you caught up with it, is Tales of the Empire has been announced. So focusing on some of those backstories. So that is going to be an exciting arc that we're going to get for that right before the Acolyte. So big things happening there. Super excited. Now, Pinky, this last one is for you, and then we can end the nonsense here. I know you haven't watched it yet. I have. The Joker Part 2 with Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn full trailer has been released. I'm not sure how I feel about it. The makeup seems to be as on point with the first one with Joaquin Phoenix, but I'm not sure how this story will be told.
If it's truly a musical, it's going to bomb.
It truly is a musical. There are 15 covers that have already been confirmed for this.
Robert,
when you watch the trailer, you'll get more of the context to it, but it is.
So, have we talked about the Joker?
We have not talked about the Joker, which is why I wanted to bring it up, because that's been one movie that is very divisive among people. And
we need to have a conversation about this movie as a whole. Then we don't have time.
This will be an episode for another for next week or something. But I am very excited to hear some of your thoughts on it and where we go from there. But I just wanted to bring that up very briefly.
I mean, I'll tell you my stance on the Joker. I mean, I'm going to watch the second one to watch it. I do think the Joker movie is a really good movie about mental health. It's a horrible movie about the Joker.
And I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
Do tell why.
It doesn't follow the Joker's story at all. It's a completely different character that Todd Phillips brought, which is fine. And if you listen to his interviews, he talks about it as he wanted to bring it out as like a part of mental health. It's like his Taxi Driver. It's literally the same movie as Taxi Driver. Really watch it.
But how does it not follow the joke? Like, it just tells you how he became psychotic. Like,
that's the point of the Joker, though. The Joker is psychotic because he is, and that's where
there's no backstory. You don't know how he became the Joker. Nobody's truly sure why he's so psychotic. I get all that. I get all of that. But to say the movie doesn't follow the arc, it does. It shows you the beginning of what caused an insane mental break that allowed this character to
it shows you what caused Todd
perpetuate.
Phillips' Joker, which is fine, but that's not everybody's Joker.
Right. But again, the Joker is crazy. So it's just one of many iterations of how he could have became such that.
Again, I still
That
think
follows his arc. Like,
I think it's a good movie. I just don't find it to be a Joker movie. To me, I completely separate it from.
I think it was
DC as a
insanely good how they portrayed how intelligent he actually was. For him to come up with the plan in which he did to get on TV and shoot the host in the face and move forward into that realm, I thought was insanely brilliant because you completely watched the break from reality.
No, but
This
the
man
problem
is no longer part of this world, and he is going to go forward as such and see what happens.
The problem with that movie is the only two good scenes are A, the one with the midget, and then two, that scene where he shoots De Niro in the face. Like those are the only two really enjoyable scenes of that whole movie.
Dude,
The rest of that
one of the
movie is-
last scenes when he's just laying on the cop car and they're like picking him up and putting him down, like the power in that scene was crazy.
Yeah. I just did not find that movie very enjoyable. And
I can respect that, Pinky.
And again, I still think it's a good movie, but I separate it from
The
DC and the
Yeah.
Joker itself. And I
That's
feel
fair.
like it is just a really good movie of showing mental health than anything else.
I think too many people have this thought of what they believe the Joker's backstory is, that they weren't going to accept it no matter what happened.
It won awards, man. So like it's
Awards means jack shit, dude. Like, let's not ever mention a movie won awards as a reason to watch or not watch. Hollywood and the critics and the people that hand out those awards are completely worthless. The movies that should actually win awards very rarely win awards. Like,
Spider-Verse should have won so many awards and it didn't win shit.
So I don't give a shit if a movie won awards or not. Like, it was a well-done movie that gave you a perspective that isn't really talked about as an origin story for the Joker. That's how I saw it.
Yeah.
I think too many people are on this kick of the Joker is former military, and beyond that, they don't know what the backstory is. But it feels like a majority of DC Joker fans have that stuck in their head and refuse to come off of it for why the Joker is able to be so brilliant.
It's because he's messed up. Period.
Yeah. Again, my opinion, I don't think it's as great as people think. I did not enjoy it as much as others.
I don't like it for the simple fact that it's not canon. It's not going into any universe. It's not part of anybody's news
The
story.
Elseworlds.
So that's why I don't like it. As a standalone movie, though, of an origin story for the Joker, I think it's totally plausible and good.
So, but I just wanted to bring that up there. So that was my last little bit of nonsense.
But before we finish, and we need to finish, Borderlands comes out tomorrow. Or not Fallout. Sorry, Fallout
Yes.
comes out tomorrow. You
Fallout.
can watch all 8 episodes on Prime.
Yeah. Invincible's also done, Pinky, so finish that.
I will finish that. That's one that I watch on my own. But the wife's not really into cartoons.
I get it. I know. Take your time,
But-
but you're good. It's all out now.
But I will definitely watch that, and I'm gonna force the wife to watch Fallout. I'm just like, we're gonna start
Invincible, I
watching
think it's going to literally be the first show that I do not finish. That I started and do not finish.
Missing out, man.
That thing literally got worse every episode in my mind, not better. It got slower. It got more lame. The main character is a little cry bitch who, in reality, if anybody acted like that, would not have been allowed to continue on his path. You either man up or get out.
He gets
No,
there. He
he's a
doesn't be a
bitch.
whiny bitch forever. So
He is a whiny bitch forever. Plain-
no, he's not. I promise.
Robert, this fucking guy. I don't.
Nope, that did. I had to force myself thinking it was going to get better because of the way you guys talked about it, and
So sad.
that is going to get left on whatever
So
episode,
bad.
first episode of season 3 or whatever the hell I was on. I don't even know, but it is staying there. I am not finishing that. Nope.
Missing
No
out,
reason.
Caleb.
Nah.
Missing out.
Yeah, that's on you, baby. That's on
Yep.
you.
Not good. Not worth it. Not worth it. Lame ass.
Oh, and 2 more weeks for you to watch Shogun, Pinky.
Yeah.
I got every episode recorded. We're gonna binge the shit out of that too because I didn't want to watch commercials.
It's so good.
FX doesn't make bad television. I mean, plain and simple.
Oh, these
FX
hours, they're each an hour long, and you get every bit of the hour, and it is top.
You
FX
go all the way back to the origination of FX with the Shield, and then Rescue Me, building into Sons of Anarchy and things they're doing now. The FX doesn't make bad TV, in my opinion.
I mean, I love most of the comedies they've put out. The League,
The
Man
League,
Seeking Woman,
Always Sunny.
Always Sunny. Yeah, like I'm a big fan of Always Sunny.
Yeah,
I need to
FX
watch
is,
some Always Sunny. It's been a minute.
FX makes some good stuff. So
We are, as of tomorrow morning, when we wake up, boys, we are 2 weeks from me going to Detroit, baby.
Yeah.
that means next week is NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. We got to talk to Cody. NFL draft, and then the following week is preview, discussion, thoughts, concerns, whatever. And then Tuesday will be that 2 weeks from now. That Tuesday will be what our final mock. Really discussion of the draft.
Hopefully we'll have Andy on, and anybody else is welcome.
Yeah, that 2 weeks from now we'll do our last mock and discussions of anything that's unfolded since that time, as far as trades and things of that nature, what we're looking at in the draft, and then our final thoughts. And Thursday it hits.
I'm so excited. I have literally, I mean, I kid you not, every day at like 2, I Google NFL draft concert. I am praying with all of my being that Eminem plays night 1.
That'd be sweet. I've been fortunate enough to see him a couple times in his prime. So
I've seen him twice. I saw him at Up and Smoke.
Okay.
I saw him on the Marshall Mathers LP up at Ball Arena.
So you saw the Anger Management tour and Up and Smoke tour. Yeah. I saw Anger Management and the Eminem show Carnival.
Hey, real quick, boys. Sorry to bust this up. Did y'all see about the injury for the Bucks for NBA?
Yeah, I'm not too concerned right now. Giannis is going to have some things looked at, but he finished the game.
Okay. I just got the alert on my phone following up with it. I'm like, oh shit, how'd I miss that?
I mean, he's still major.
Let me double check, but if I remember what I was looking at, he still finished with like 35 minutes played or something like that. Hang on.
Hey, our boy Nasty Nate has a hat trick, by the way. Trying to get that MVP. Let's go.
He's looking pretty good right now.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Let's see here. Giannis. Yeah, he played 29 minutes still. So, you go get checked out at halftime, and then you come back and play the second half, and then get MRIs and stuff after the game. So, we'll see. But Giannis is kind of a beast. He had a knee injury the year they won the finals that would have probably kept most people out the rest of the playoffs, and he found a way to come back and then not only come back and play, but come back and play and lead his team to a championship. So Giannis is kind of a different beast.
And Embiid had a game tonight, fellas.
He did. Yes, he did.
He really did.
But again, come playoff time, when you can really scheme for him and his stamina isn't where you need it to be, it's going to get interesting.
Well, you have a real, I mean, it's either you let Embiid get his and you stop everybody else, or you focus on Embiid and make everybody else beat you. One of the two, right?
Which is harder to do now that Maxey is playing like a legit superstar next to Embiid. So you know, and B going out for a couple months might have been the best thing that could have happened to Philly long term, because it gave Maxey a chance to truly grow and become part of the leadership of that team. So that'll be interesting to see. With that being said, I think we've done enough final thoughts, sum ups. We're going to go straight to the grand finale. If you have those moments with your family, friends, inner circle, loved ones, cherish them. Do not take them for granted. Do not waste them. Jump on them at every opportunity you have. We appreciate all the love and support more than you will ever know. We will continue to say it, whether you think it's cliche or not. To my fellas, appreciate you guys. Everybody else, cheers. We're out.
Good night.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Tempo's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east.